Um, Okay, tonight we are having sort of a joint meeting of the Conservation Committee and the Forestry Committee, some of which members overlap anyway. So, how do I introduce everybody since?
Oh, everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, I guess this is for the television.
Maybe.
Okay, well, I'm Bill Maloney.
Introduce yourself.
Tell the camera who you are.
Oh, Dick Neal. Al Davis.
Wesley Ham.
Tom Cashin. Mark Hurd. Steve Bodkin.
Well, we really didn't have a quorum in December, so it's been a while.
Or November, or-
We've missed a couple of meetings, so we might as well just start with the issues at hand,
Right.
you know?
You want us to make our little presentation?
No.
Okay.
I think this is good, you know, because it's calling for 7, which maybe we'll we'll have to get a quorum if we get the extra people out. And it's, you know, it's like reinventing the wheel. You know, it's going back to where it was originally, to a large degree.
You're looking at page 3 there.
Yeah, the only thing I would want to say about that is we go some way so that 3 people were a quorum and we didn't need 4 because we had 7 members.
Yeah, that don't work. But it would be nice.
Well, you see, Bill, are we up to bat now? I don't want to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I lifted whole cloth the last couple of sentences, starting with "This shall be a standing committee," from the text of the 2003-2004 fiscal year town report, which had the enabling legislation in it. Article 71, and this was a June 5th, 04 town meeting, which established the committee for the town forest and the rules for election of officers. So that was verbatim from the town records of the town meeting, 04. 6504,
And the article was?
Article 71. The thing when I was drafting this up, previously in talking with our town clerk, she mentioned that she needs us to turn this right around and consider this as a motion to come before this assembled body. First of all, we'd have to obviously have some discussion and make sure everybody's on board with the notion of it. And if we vote in the majority to support it, we need to record the minutes of that vote and turn around as soon as we can and present her with the draft language. She says she wanted to get this Three Rivers work out of the way first, that being a higher priority in terms of the calendar, her arranging for the ballot referendum vote. And then she said, let's get right back to me as soon as you can with a vote on and your draft wording for the warrant article that calls for a merging of the 2 committees. So that's what I was hoping we could get your help on tonight. The only problem I had when I was poking at this language today, I felt like I was giving short shrift to the delineation of the tasks of the merged committee. The phrase in the middle of the page there, page 4, which is the entitled Draft Proposal for the Merging of the Acton Conservation Committee, again was lifted with no change from the text of the enabling legislation, and which was entirely for the town forest. I thought it would be great if we could come up with a little bit of a short phrase or a sentence or two to embrace the tasks as you guys could word better than I could, not being a member of this group.
You're talking about conservation, educational, and recreational goals?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the way it's worded now, to develop and implement a plan for the town forest, which may include conservation, educational, and recreational goals. That phrase after town forest is a, Bill, you know the grammatical term for this. It's a phrase which refers back to the town forest.
Right.
And as I said, it doesn't really give.
It makes it sound like it's the only thing we're doing.
Right, and I was hoping that you could have given some thought earlier today to the notion of a phrase or two that would also encompass within this article those tasks that could be delineated very concisely of the Conservation Committee. So that we had both. We embraced within this article the intent of the work as we could briefly describe it to the voters.
Could I make a recommendation?
Sure.
Just for consideration? Would you be open to revising the Conservation Committee ordinance? It's already existing, okay?
Yeah.
To encompass, in other words, encompass what you want from the Forestry Committee. And then, I don't know, I think it's time to bring in some of the other stuff that they've been working on unofficially.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, we could do it all in one sweep, okay?
Well, that's
And then you have an ordinance, and then we'd be put down, you know,
Yeah.
exactly what, and then,
that's what I was optimistic about, that we could craft. I mean, it has to be, there's no mud involved in the language at all. It has to be very concise and within a sentence or two, embrace in a general enough way so that it embraces the tasks that we are both committees are bringing into this notion, so.
Well,
Yeah, I have no quarrel with that, I just don't know how to.
you know, my basic feeling, and I agree with this thing, as far as I'm concerned, the Forestry Committee hasn't really done anything for many, many years, okay? But by bringing it in and having it involved with, say, the Conservation Committee, then all of a sudden you're gonna get a broader feel and more members to help work on some of these things.
Yeah.
And then whoever is really, you know, into the forestry part, could be on the forestry, you know, work on those projects. Somebody's on historical, they'd be on there. If somebody's conservation, could be working on the conservation portion. But, because they say the Conservation Committee, period, hasn't had too many active, the two active members for some time now. And, but I say, I just want to throw that out as a possibility.
I think the problem is nobody could remember where the actual ordinance was. For the
forestry,
No.
No,
Conservation.
Tom found that.
the original,
But the original one where they were one committee anyway.
Could we handle it, I'll just run this up the flag if I may briefly. Put a period after the phrase, "a plan for the town forest," period. And then something along the lines of, the duties of the merged committees shall include, in general, conservation, educational, and recreational goals. do it? I mean,
Well, historical was part of that, wasn't it? Historical was part
All
of
right,
it.
conservation,
well, I don't know. I don't know.
natural,
These,
and historical.
the conservation folks are gonna have to help us refine.
What do you do?
What do I do? I don't know what I do. What do we do?
What's the conservation committee supposed to do? I mean, it's,
Well, I've got the main statutes for conservation commissions at all. The problem is, it started out as a commission, and then it became a committee, and I don't know if that structurally was a different, but when it was originally formed, it was a commission.
Which
And then they
means
changed,
what?
have no idea.
Right.
But it has, under the guidelines of the state, to set up conservation commissions.
Yeah.
It had a fixed set of 5 or 6 duties, which I think the state reinvented in 1987, where,
Yeah.
the Conservation Committee in town goes back to the early 70s or the mid-70s.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
George Mann was instrumental in that, I think.
I don't have on me the listing of the individual actions that the town has done, but,
Maybe we shouldn't get too bogged down in this, because Jennifer has mentioned the fact that this is gonna be a bit of a process over a week or two. So we could try to pick up the thread of that and maybe just handle it in a manner that, similar to what I just suggested, that would embrace them in very simplistic, short form, so to speak, and with, flesh it out with the committee's help, and Jennifer's will, I'm sure, have some suggestions to make on the word.
see, I don't know how you create a new committee without dealing with the old one.
Well,
And, so,
yeah, she might have a point there. I don't know.
it's just, from a standpoint of the people that is, the terms of service and,
The nifty thing, I didn't realize this, but and she's the one who, Jennifer's the one who we went to decide who was members of these two organizations. And she listed in the town report, the latest one, Town Forest Committee, Frank Varrock, Carl Davis, Tom Cashing, Bill Maloney, Mark Hurd, Roy Trafton, and Wesley Ham. Steve is a member by, I don't know how they missed Steve, but Steve in the
by the law.
enabling
Yeah.
legislation
perpetuity.
was a member. And
Well,
on,
if I don't go along with the different election process by being town forester, then it's kind of a little bit of a separate thing anyway. I mean, again, it's all a matter of semantics, I suppose, but.
well, in the original language, it just read, the last sentence was, as I've written it out here, the 7th member shall be the town forester. So he's not, I think you were reappointed on a yearly basis, aren't you? At town meeting,
I'm not
well,
remembering,
elected,
but, yeah.
I think, yeah. So you're hunky-dory, plus you're the guy that takes us out to dinner.
Gotcha.
Marianne,
Oh, a new
meetings.
rule, okay, well, you better put that in put that in this proposal here and see if that gets voted up, I
Or
suppose.
made a reservation down at Joshua's, okay?
Sure.
Well, let me,
Well, one question, let me piggyback on something that Carl said a second ago, just to make sure that we're looking at this correctly.
Yeah.
Having said that, talking about the Conservation Commission, and Carl brought up the historical aspect of the Conservation Commission as being somewhat separate from the town forest, if this is referring mostly to doing work on town forests only, then if this language is what is meant to merge the two committees, then we have the discussion about the 3 or 4 goals that are talked about, but then should there not also be some language in there that is discussing what the Conservation Commission specifically should be doing that is not on town forest?
absolutely, that's what,
Okay.
that's what I'm threshing for now.
I mean, like Carl says, if it's the cemeteries or
Well,
Mary Grant property, if that's not technically considered part of the town forest or something like that.
I didn't want to belabor you guys with too much wordsmithing tonight.
Okay.
But we do have to kind of get a concept that we reach consensus on here, but Does this work? Just something to gnaw on, I'll throw it out there. Somebody's got can copy
I'm working
my
on it.
wording out here. We'd end with the initial sentence would end with a plan for the town forest, period.
Mhm.
The new sentence might read something like, the duties of the newly formed committees or the merged committees, plural, may include conservation, educational, and recreational goals.
Okay, well, I'll give you a different version and you can try and put it.
Yeah, let me write.
I mean, I didn't put a period there, I just, to develop and implement a plan for the town forest as well as continue the conservation of the town's natural and historic resources. And then
Beautiful.
something.
Can you read that out slowly?
As a plan for the town forest as well as continue the conservation of the town's natural and historical resources.
As well as the conservation?
Yeah,
Give me a phrase at a time, will you? Conservation,
of the town's natural and historical resources.
towns plural,
Towns possessive.
how do you do, okay, I get that. Towns natural and historical resources,
Or just historic.
historic resources. Where do I go from there?
Well,
The Conservation Commission has been called the environmental conscience of the community.
Called the what?
The environmental conscience
Conscience.
of the community.
It's heavy.
It is heavy.
Well, I guess it's right off that paper. I thought it was interesting.
So could we claim part of that phrase for us?
I don't know.
I don't know, I'm thinking that's a little,
well, part of the reason I had a problem coming up with stuff is that if you read the first comprehensive plan, basically, the Conservation Committee runs the town.
Well, that ain't so, we know that.
Well, no, but I mean, what, in terms of all the things you're supposed to do,
Supposed to do.
yeah. The problem is it's all scattered through there, and I don't remember where everything,
well, I like your language, Bill, because it spoke broadly without being too specific about what the overall subject matter, the what,
Yeah.
of what this committee is trying, it has jurisdiction over, I guess I'll put it that way. But then, what it's, for example, Carl's comment that he just read is implying and getting a little on the preachy side, so I just assume not go quite that far. But the idea behind trying to say that the how, who, what, when, where kind of scenario that you're trying to answer for what, you know, what this committee is to do, who is on it, you know, where the jurisdiction is, you know, if we can define those in a pretty broad sense, the opinions of the committee are going to change over time, and the opinion of the town will change over time. So you certainly don't want to put in any sort of language that seems to be judgmental and pointing of what that direction is within this language. That's something that'll just evolve.
yeah, I was in a panic when Angela told me that we wanted a mission statement. I personally am, you know, sort of averse to mission statements, but this is exactly what you're saying.
Right, well-
Because somebody's always gonna say, well, you didn't do that,
You know, it's
or, this thing that you did isn't included in there, or,
you know,
Again, with all due respect, the mission statement is starting to tell someone what to think. And I would just assume have that be something that's talked about as time goes by between, that's why people choose who are on the committee and the different subject matters that occur through time. So, I mean, the mission statement of what we just spoke of here, in a manner of speaking, but a mission statement like capital M, sounding like from the language that you're talking about is pushing in a very specific direction.
like stone tablets.
That's right.
We won't go there. So, Bill, can you just read that out as a whole sentence and see if
yeah,
we
I
can?
haven't, you know, I hadn't worked in the educational and recreational.
I don't think we need to, do we?
Oh, okay. No, I guess we don't.
So, may I read it?
Sure.
I Article to read, to see if the town will vote to merge the Conservation Committee. I placed the Conservation Committee first because it existed prior to the Town Forest Committee. With the Town Forest Committee to develop and implement a plan for the town forest, period. Oh, excuse me, semicolon,
I just put
colon,
Semicolon.
oh, yeah, all right, semicolon. sounds good.
okay. As well as the conservation of the town's natural and historic resources. That's good enough to fly, you know what I mean? I don't think we have to, we can still work on it before I have to present this to Jennifer, but
Mhm.
I think that's good enough to vote on tonight as a
Sure.
start. Richard, are you okay with that as an initial statement, which will be elaborated upon, if need be, on the floor of town meeting or something, but
I'm willing to work, somebody to, like, what you're talking here for the article. And if you're interested in redoing the ordinance, I'm willing to take the ordinance and put all what you want in. And
the goal for this step one is to put before the town meeting the notion of merging the two groups.
Yeah.
So I don't know how elaborate we have to get in terms of it has to be more general and encompassing our goals, I think, rather than being too specific right out of the gate as to what we actually want to take on as tasks. So I think we're obviously going to get asked, what the hell are you guys up to? And we can elaborate at that time, in a public hearing setting maybe, in a more general sense. And you guys can speak to the goals that you have initially and what you've developed over time. And I think we can all speak to the notion of what the town forest group would like to do in the near future, whatever.
Well, if you have these two committees, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to
Right.
create a new one, so therefore, the bare bones language of just, here we are, town, we're trying to put these two together for more efficient use of town time
Yeah.
and for better
volunteer.
seeking of quorum and volunteers.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into much more than that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I should also, that having been, God knows how many years, gone to the Maine Association of Conservation Commission meetings, I was acting is fairly unique. I mean, a lot of them were like dropping away because they saw it as purely conservation, and as far as they were concerned, the land trust did it now.
Well, our thinking on that, speaking from a land trust point of view.
Because they didn't do anything else, and the best they could come up, maybe we should build a trail, kind of stuff like that is what.
Just speaking for myself on this, Carl's probably got some thoughts on this as well, I hope. The more that we can work together and collaborate, I think we have a lot of common goals anyway. I know we do with conservation and forestry and Three Rivers too.
Right.
So there's not. And the more brain power and, manpower, literally, sometimes that you can bring to a problem, the better the solution.
Yeah, we should work together. It's- We have common goals, so we should work together.
Have you got any thoughts on this?
I didn't mean our land trust in particular, I meant throughout the state, all the various, yeah.
Well, can I read out, are we okay on language enough to get us through the gate here with the town clerk? I'll read it out, and
I mean, that's short.
let me just read it out for the record, and somebody can maybe make a motion on it and consider it.
I don't know how you combine the committees to make a motion before the committees combined. There's not a quorum here for
Well, we'd
for
have to maybe
conservation.
take two votes.
Yeah, so.
One to approve
But
of
we're
this.
on both committees.
I know, we're on
So
both
we get to
committees.
vote twice.
We maybe have to take two votes, one to adopt the concept of merging, and then another vote
On the
to
language.
adopt, to approve of the wording to put this in front of town meeting. Does that make sense?
Do either of you have any objection in the merger?
Other than the fact that there's not a quorum here for this committee.
Well, though Hannah has said that
Well, I'm just asking.
she's okay with
Okay,
it.
so we'll
The
take
two
it.
prominent members.
Who's your
There's no
fourth
such
member?
thing as permanent.
It was,
Lois.
it was Frank, two of us and Hannah and Lois. And Lois has not shown up since she was reappointed, which was several years ago.
For some reason, Wes and Bill and Frank Verrock are the only ones that
Or on that list.
Jennifer,
Oh, she didn't go back and get sworn in. That's what it was. Hannah didn't.
anyway, we will maybe make an effort to reach out to Hannah and see if she wants to be a part of this. She's verbally said she would be
Yeah.
Yeah,
supporting
sure.
the merger.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Can you repeat that for us, for the record then? Well,
Both
then-
of us, right? I mean, she said it to me, she said it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
For the record, Hannah Phillips said that she was in favor of merging the two committees. She,
And how about
as
the
a
other,
member of the Conservation Committee.
and the other two members of the Conservation Committee that are present?
We are too. I am.
I have no problem with it. I think we might have to knock it around a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
but,
sure we will.
You know,
How about members of the Town Forest Committee that are assembled here? Are we in support of merging these two groups as stipulated in the article that I will read for the record?
I am.
You two guys are
We
members
get
of
to
the
vote
Forest
on them too.
oh, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Just as a point of clarity, though, you know, there are fixed duties for this committee, and I don't have any, and they basically are spelled out here, which is other than the functioning of the committee itself, they're supposed to, if you want to read that, you can. But it's basically keeping an index of open lands. It's basically an advisory committee, the conservation is. And the forestry, I don't know if there's any,
Any committee is,
yeah,
you gotta go.
I see it that same way. I see the selectmen as holding the power in the town, but the planning board is not advisory. That's a legal, that has a legal overtures
Yeah, but
to
we're
it.
appointed by the select board. This new committee,
Will be
and that's
elected.
an important point to raise, will be an elected committee.
Right.
On town meeting floor. I think that is important for us to,
So I guess what I'm saying is that one of the duties of this committee is advisory, and if you're clear that that's what the forestry committee is too. I mean, I've been on the forestry committee for 2 years now. You've
Two
been,
terms.
yeah, and I've never seen the duties of that. I've never seen any paperwork associated with it. I haven't seen the original ordinance. I'll take another look at that.
I think I can put my hand on some of our initial records from meetings and stuff, so.
You know. Basically, I guess I said I didn't mind doing it, but I would like to know what it was I said I'd do. That's sort of foolish.
Both
but-
of us, there's never been a meeting called.
No, there's never been you know,
So, Bill, can you just state for the minutes then that both members present supported the merging of the
Oh,
active
sure.
conservation committee with the town forest committee?
Again, for both members of the Conservation Committee that are present, favor the merging of the two committees,
As well as Ms. Phillips?
as well as Hannah Phillips, yeah.
And what about the members of the president of the town forest committee?
Oh, and you want me to make a record?
Well, just for the record,
Oh,
I
as
think
w-
we have to state that.
Okay, you're a little more formal.
You don't have to take a vote on it?
Well, we probably should, yeah. We probably should take a vote on the merging, the notion of merging, and then read out I'll read out the article.
I think we informally just did that, but
Yeah.
probably we should do it formally.
Yeah.
So,
We could, the Board of Selectmen's office and Jennifer Rourke are very
Adamant on that.
precise in their
Absolutely.
manner, how this is done. So we have to make a motion.
Who chair of the forestry committee?
It was
We
Frank.
don't have one yet, because we,
Frank was the chair.
But
Well, I say,
Bill is
that's
running,
what you're looking for.
Bill is running the meeting, so
Yeah,
I'm just
he's
continuing.
running the meeting of the conservation committee. He's chairman of the conservation committee.
Yeah.
Get a formal vote of the forestry committee, you need to turn around and whoever's the chairman. of
You're gonna
that
have to
needs
appoint it. I
Turn
don't
around
think-
and ask for a motion, somebody
Yeah.
makes a motion.
Yeah.
And then turn around and raise their hand.
Can you appoint an interim chair?
Who was the vice chair? Colin, was you?
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have a motion from one of the forestry committee members?
I would move that the forestry committee, relevant to this language that we're discussing tonight for a warrant article, would merge with the conservation committee, hopefully with a vote of support at the 2016 annual town meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
As our members. Unanimous? Okay.
Unanimous.
Yeah, do we want to get that?
The continuing, well, you do it what you want, but I think the budget's the continuing of whatever that gets covered, covers that, or would you want to be more specific?
Okay, I'm gonna be slow here.
That's up to you.
I'm gonna be slow.
Present members of both committees voted to support the idea of merging the committees.
Okay. We want to get the wording of that first motion? The first,
That would, the first vote, I think, would be recording the votes we just took of the respective members of both committees to merge the committees. And the
okay,
second vote I think we have to take is
On the words.
the proposed adoption of this language moving forward to town meeting.
so can I say a motion was made to merge these two committees?
And
the
the assembled members of both committees voted unanimously to approve of the merger.
You made the motion.
I guess so, and someone, I don't know who seconded it.
Everybody,
Yeah, everybody seconded.
Yeah,
Well,
Tom made the motion.
It
Made
was
by
a
Tom.
unanimous vote, anyway. May I read the?
Mark seconded it.
Thank you.
May I read, may I
Thank you,
read,
Mark.
may I read the draft language for the proposal for the warrant?
Okay,
I know you're gonna make a motion, aren't you?
you want to,
Motion to what?
This language, it's gotta be a motion, we gotta vote on it, right?
That's what but I'm
He
reading
wants
it
to
first,
read it
and then I'm
first.
gonna,
Oh,
somebody's
then you're
gonna
gonna
make a
make- okay.
motion subsequent to the reading. This is page 4 of 4 that I gave you guys tonight. Entitled, dated 3/15/16, entitled Draft Proposal for the Merging of the Acton Conservation Committee with the Town Forest Committee at the 2016 Annual Town Meeting. Article to read, to see if the town will vote to merge the Conservation Committee with the Town Forest Committee to develop and implement a plan for the town forest, semicolon, as well as the conservation of the town's natural and historic resources. Period. Second little paragraph. This shall be a standing committee consisting of 7 members, period. At the June 2016 annual town meeting, 2 members shall be elected for 1 year, 2 members for 2 years, and 2 members for 3 years, Thereafter, as members' terms expire, new terms shall be elected for 3 years. The 7th member shall be the town forester. Any motion?
That's your motion?
No, I was merely
right,
reading the
so you
article.
I'll
want
make a motion that we accept the language as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you, guys. That's all we had to talk with you guys about tonight.
Take a little while to get back into the procedural groove of things.
Would you like a little explanation of this, the Three Rivers business? This doesn't really pertain to anything, well, it does a little bit, I guess. Carl's got the history of that more concisely than I do.
What's that, Tom?
The business on pages 1 and 2 pertaining to the Three
You
Rivers.
show the map, people, that might help a little bit. Put that in. So, this being the H Road,
If we knew there were gonna be maps, we would have brought a six-pack so that we
yeah,
could.
and the very top of Goat Hill is this area right here. It's got stone wall around it. This is where the big pine trees are that you see from everywhere around the countryside. So that's the top, and then so that there can be public access, you follow this wall directly down to the H Road. There's a little sort of maybe vernal pool, we're not sure, right in
Seasonal
here.
wetland, I guess it'd probably be the best.
Say what?
Seasonal wetland.
Seasonal wetland right here. So if you went to look at it,
this year.
if you went to walk it, if you walk down from here, there's a little road that comes in, there's that seasonal wetland. There is a pin directly across the street right here, which is very visible. And then it would go from there down to just around the corner where the old road comes in, and Joe Rumer's land is over here. But to be determined as to where you would do a small parking lot and a trail to access the top of the hill, which would, be open to the public, picnic tables, whatever, that type of thing. The rest of this property, we're trying to find farmers to farm. There's 70 acres of field here. The balance is in woodlot. It's 243 acres total. Maine Farmland Trust would be involved in this part of it with the farmland, buying out the development rights on it, so that it would stay in agriculture forever. Gordon Waterman and Russ Sullivan own the property at the moment. Gordon would very much like to see it remain in agriculture and not be developed. He's been patient. We've been working with him for 2 years. And our time's coming up. We've got to sign something with him pretty quick on it, but he has been very patient with us to try to work this project out. So, anybody's got any questions, I'll do the best I can.
The stuff on the other side of the line, is that where Devin and other people that own some, or are they over there, or is this?
Bill Shields owns a couple of lots over here.
Okay.
And then Joe Ruma owns here. Bill bought this piece here from Gordon, Bill Shields did, last.
Who did?
Bill Shields.
Oh, yeah.
This
Okay,
80
so I
acre.
could add-
Yeah,
So that's this
yeah,
piece here.
that's that piece. Bill bought that from Gordon 2 years ago.
Is that on Garvin Road?
This is Garvin Road, yes. Yep, it's frontage on Garvin Road. Yep. Yep, this was an old orchard here, quite old. Of course, Bill's house is about across the street from that. So there's frontage here on Garvin Road. The possibilities, one possibility is the farmer buying all of this. The other possibility is to kind of split it in half here, and you'd have 35 acres of field and 35 acres of field. So there's different options. We've been pursuing farmers now for about, 6 months anyway. We've had 6 or 7 look at it, but we haven't had anybody,
What's the possibility of getting a grant to help offset the price?
well, up here you mean? Or here?
Well, whatever.
Well, up here, we're definitely
You know,
gonna,
you're asking about, 75,000 in taxpayer money,
yep,
and, I'll just be upfront, okay? If you've been watching TV, selectmen meeting, there's an awful lot of projects coming in, you know. They're all gonna add, if this was kind of a, like an odd year or whatnot, and there was the only item,
right.
but, you know, tonight, you were at the selectmen meeting tonight, weren't you?
Right.
And all of a sudden, this thing with the fire department, and the fire chief's salary.
Right.
And all of a sudden, here's the chairman of the selectmen saying, well, if they go with the recommended salary, up goes the taxes. So everything's gonna be adding in,
Right.
you know, so, and that's the only reason why I bring up that if it can be softened, possibility, you know, with a grant or whatnot.
Well, up here,
Even if the grant didn't pay for the whole thing.
right.
You know, my past experience has been that, whenever something like this comes up, if all of a sudden you can say, well, okay, we'll provide so-and-so. We're asking the town, you know, to pick up the rest, you know.
That's part of
It
what's,
just makes it a lot easier to
Right.
sell. okay?
what we're looking at here, Richard, is we still have to raise $75,000 here, the land trust. So the town's putting up 100, we gotta raise another 75,000.
Okay, what, yeah,
So when we go to write grants for this, that becomes match. If we don't have that match, we'll never do it up
Yeah.
there. We need some kind of match in order to write grants.
no, but you know what I'm talking about. If we can come up with some grant, or at least apply for the grants and then turn around and.
We're gonna apply for grants, we're definitely gonna. I mean, that's part of this project, and this whole part here is based quite a bit on grants. But we do need, if we go for grants and the town's not putting up much money, then the grant people will say, well, the town's really not into this. You know, if we don't get a firm commitment from the town, and I kind of feel that the fairest way to do it with the town is to put it up for,
But the reason I bring this up, Carl,
yeah,
you're bringing in new stuff that's not on here, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
it is on here.
Page
Well,
3.
no, you just turn around and asking the town for, raise $75,000.
Right, that's on there.
Page,
Yeah, I know that, but there's no mention of
Yes, yes, there is.
page 3.
You gotta look on the other side of it.
and then consider that.
Let's see,
It's on page 3.
second page here. The efforts of Three Rivers Land Trust to contribute an extra $75,000. So we've got
Oh,
to,
okay.
we've still got to raise $75,000.
Oh, okay.
So,
Number those pages for me.
This is what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah.
You know, you gotta, it's just an added selling point,
Oh,
you know, when you.
I hear you. It's,
The other part of the discussion that occurred this evening with Ted and company was that they, upon reflection of the issues that you brought up to us tonight, they are going to raise the initial sum proposed by the town by a loan. They're not going to take it out of taxation, which Ted said would go quite a ways to soften the
Okay.
blow.
I admit, I kept
Yeah.
those last words and everything, but I didn't know what it applied to.
Yeah, yeah.
so that'll change in that
Yeah.
language. That'll change it.
Yeah, there'll be one more draft of this, I think, before it's ready for press. But if you can help him just number those pages, because I can see we might be talking to Richard on the phone.
Number which, I did number this.
Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I got a number.
Okay.
4, that's, hopefully I numbered them right.
Like,
Page 1
Number
of
3,
4.
right? You're talking about number 3.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, I got it.
Carl, would you just elaborate a little bit about the notion of why there has to be an easement on this?
Oh, yeah, that ties into the grant when we're looking for grant money on this up here, any of the grants that we're gonna looking for, they're gonna want that land protected, you know, forever. I mean, if they're not gonna put money in if the town next year decides we're gonna sell this thing. In order for us to look for grant money, we have to have an easement.
And if you folks look on page 2, you'll see we've kind of, this was part of our reason for coming to you this evening. In the second to the last sentence there on page 2 or 4, the whole 25 acres would be owned by the town, comma, administered by the town forest committee, which would be
Or the
reworded.
Conservation Committee.
Right, which would be reworded. For the conservation easement to be held by 3 Rivers in a similar arrangement as the Mary Grant Nature Reserve. Okay. So we were hopeful that there's going to be some public hearings and
Yeah,
stuff on this proposal by 3 Rivers, but we're hoping at some later date to discuss that with you in more detail and maybe look for the support of the, hopefully what will be a merged committee. I think we're,
This is one of the reasons, I wrote a letter to the selectmen recommending they establish a capital improvement committee, capital improvement plan, and a capital improvement fund.
following that a little bit.
And that was one of the things here, that if this was, became part of the project, then all of a sudden deliberating how you're gonna pay for it, rather than turn around and pay for the whole thing out of the taxation, you turn around and say, well, okay, we'll borrow the money, and then we'll make the payment out of the capital improvement fund. So if you have a capital improvement fund with, say, $100,000 or $200,000 or whatnot established, you can do a lot of things with 10,000 here, 15,000 there and whatnot, rather than go for a full 100 and suck everything out of the fund all at once.
Yeah, makes sense. What did they respond?
I was told the chairman has his own plan.
His own plan, okay.
They didn't completely dismiss the idea. They said, we've got X, Y, and Z to take care of, and then we're going to take this up. That's what I understood anyway. I thank you for your time, Bill and Wes. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, all of you, for coming. It's good.
So, do you want me to be the courier for this language to Jennifer tomorrow?
Sure.
And maybe,
You'll have to have the minutes with you.
yeah, can you send something over to Jennifer tomorrow, Wes?
Yeah, I'll have to get together with you.
Okay,
Do it.
sure.
Sure, we can do it.
That would
Deliver it, send
That
it.
would be greatly helpful. They are, the board is very hopeful that all of this can come together for a hearing as early as the 26th of this month. They're going to run through the preliminary warrant articles, as I understood it, and not make any recommendations, but just have a public hearing between invites going out from the Board of Selectmen to all town boards and officers, and I guess we would be part and parcel. Carl and I were going to go before that hearing and try and support this 3 Rivers proposal, I guess.
Do you have normal primary and secondary language? You would be the primary on the easement, or the town?
Do we have the language of it?
I mean, a lot of your easements usually have a primary owner and a
Yeah.
secondary owner. So are you acting as a primary, are you gonna hold the primary ownership of it?
No,
Primary, you know what I'm saying? So it's the
town will
town?
have the primary ownership.
Okay.
No,
Wes,
On the 25 acres?
Yes.
But not on,
on the 25 acres, correct.
pages 1 through 3, I think would be.
I don't know if I've seen that kind of, I've seen easements through the USDA or whatever,
Yeah,
you know, where,
yeah.
where there, I haven't seen it combined, where 25 acres is where a piece is parceled
All
out.
parceled out.
So, you know,
But yeah, this will be a separate easement on this.
okay,
And then this more than likely, May Farmland Trust will hold the easement on the rest of this.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Three
So you're
Rivers-
gonna be,
Rivers-
you're gonna be writing 2 easements?
Yeah.
All right,
Three Rivers would hold this easement, Maine Farmland Trust would hold this
all
one.
right.
That's,
The model for the 25 acres would be the Mary Grant Reserve. Richard, that was pretty much the template of Mary Grant, right? Three of us holds the easement on that, and town owns that property. It's town-owned land.
When that was put in, was there specifications as to an overview of what the town was gonna get out of that? You know, in terms of the kinds of things you just talked about, nature trails,
Yep.
public access, seating,
Yep.
you know.
I
So
have
that, some of that language might be
yeah.
useful
Yep.
right up
I
front.
could, yeah, next meeting, I could bring a copy of that easement.
Okay.
Yep, of the Mary Grant one, sure.
I've got that at home, Colin. The base-
Oh, that's right, you're the steward, you can, Tom can bring that in, yeah. Okay.
Mark and Steve, anything to?
Very well got it.
Steve, you want to give a little history of the forest up there, since we get a few minutes?
Yeah, well, Carl and I took a walk last week on the 25-acre section, and as he spoke, the upland top of the hill is primarily old, even-aged white pine, open in the understory. As Carl spoke earlier, you can see that from most anywhere in the county, it seems. That's an exaggeration, of course, but pretty well visible from a long ways away, multiple directions. The woodland on the remaining 20 acres of the property had been harvested pretty heavily multiple times through the years. Hemlock mix down toward the H Road, and in there is a stream buffer, kind of similar hemlock hardwood mix on very rocky ground. A little higher up on the hill before you get to the white pine, more of a old clear cut with white birch. So it's kind of a mixture of things, and pretty interesting to walk through. Timber value not especially high. It had probably been denuded of pine somewhere along the line. But, naturally speaking, it's, got quite a bit to offer in terms of, scenic and conservation use. Not an economic boon or anything like that as far as any timber harvest would go. But, definitely seemed quite suitable for trails and such.
Question for that. When I had never walked through that prior to a couple of months ago. And the abutter across the street there, Dexter Lazenby, knows that terrain. That's his stomping ground, so to speak. And he kind of took me on a tour through there. What struck me initially was that if we could do something similar to what we've been speaking to you about on the Town Farm Road, bit of town forest, where we could encourage regeneration of pine, particularly on that what would be the southern edge primarily, the edge abutting the field land. It would benefit not only the parcel itself, and it seemed to me when I walked it, we had a little snow underfoot there, and there's a tremendous amount of deer traffic through there. I think it's an important wildlife corridor. But it also, the pine as a buffer might enhance the viability of whatever agricultural efforts go on to the south of that. You could cut down to quite an extent the impact of the wind up there, which is phenomenal. I don't know what.
I don't necessarily agree with that on the surface. I don't know enough about, you've got a pretty good existing stand of trees there now, and to reset the clock on a small portion of it for a very specific use, I think might be, it's not misguided in any way, but by scale and by chance of regenerative guesses and things like that, it may or may not come back the way you're looking for. So it would be something that would be a question to say, do you want to give up what you have in order to take a chance at something better, I guess would be a good way to put it. I don't necessarily know the answer to that question because I'm not really exactly specifically knowledgeable about what you're shooting for. We would have to walk on site, and if you were to say, could you do this, that, or the other, would certainly be happy to walk it and talk with you about it.
Yeah, I certainly would defer to a town forester.
Oh, and on a little separate note, the only other comment that I had made to Carl about it was that the white pine on the top of the hill, this is just a little footnote, the overall health of the forest is in good shape, if only because most of it is reasonably young. The areas that have been cut reasonably hard are young. And needless to say, as time goes by, the forest changes. The comment that I made to him, though, to keep in mind for the Conservation Committee specifically would be the area on top of the hill is old, even-aged, and reasonably low-grade white pine, which is to say that there are stands and stems dying out of it most any year, some. Mother Nature doesn't really like a vacuum, so having said that, you should be thinking in time as to what you would do for that big view that we're talking about of being able to see underneath of those pines from anywhere for 20 miles away is something that in time, when those old pines die, you're going to now have been thinning out the understory for 30 years for the wonderful picnicky view, not allowing for any young ones to take those old trees' place. So just have in mind that in time, the question that I'll ask as a town forester, knowing where that stand will go if all you do is to thin a pine every now and then as it dies, is that that will be at risk in time to be an open, bald hill. I don't have a plan for that or what you would do, but if the idea behind its scenic quality is obviously the view from looking under those pines out, but if the view is also to look at those pines from away, that view will change without some idea of what to do, how to maintain those old ones, which, you know, once again, technically speaking, in time, isn't feasible.
What's the practicality of when you take an old one out, just planting a new one? I mean, does that work? I mean, that's how they do it in Italy.
Sure.
That's how all those hilltops look like they did in the 15th century.
Yep.
Is that when something dies, they just put a new one there.
No, for sure. And again, the idea, I just didn't want it to be that, for example, if the Conservation Committee had the idea that, or the Forestry Committee so joined, would say, well, let's just talk about maintaining or removing for safety reasons the old ones as they die. Again, I'm just trying to have an idea for everyone. The short answer would be yes, you would either want to have some trees left to come back to then be thinned to leave some future tree. But having said that, this takes time, and that's something that should be moved toward incrementally immediately, or have a plan to do so
Right,
immediately.
do something, right.
So when you plant that tree, is this thing going to be, you know, a 5-foot tall seedling, which then means you can't see through it at ground level for 20 more years? You need to know that now rather than when Mother Nature decides to take a swipe at the top of that hill and you end up with a bald knob and one little planted pine tree left that we planted 3 days before the storm, kind of thing. So not an answer, but just a comment to be thought about in time as to how to continue that look, if that's what you're shooting for.
Dexter said that Summit takes a tremendous amount of lightning strikes as well.
Tremendous son of what?
Dexter Lazenby mentioned that the summit of that hill takes a tremendous amount of lightning strikes.
I bet. Well, and to top that off, one lightning strike on ledge like sits on top of that hill does have a very high potential to have one tree struck, but have the charge actually move through the ground. And I've seen plenty of places where one pine in very ledgy, acidic soil will, you know, start to kill in years beyond the strike, pines that are around as well. So sure, I don't doubt that most of the pines that are up there, either from wind and or from lightning, that's probably the top culprit.
Well, that's a good call.
All set. Thank you, guys.
Question of the word administered versus stewardship, or whatever, you know. I don't know if administered is the exact word we might want. You know, when you mention liabilities and everything else, I'm not sure that something like
You're right.
a stewardship might be a, you know, monitorship, stewardship or whatever, you know. Obviously, it's your easement, you're gonna monitor it.
Yes, easement.
But, you know, I'm not sure how the town forest is, if the word administered is used for the committee relative to the town
Managed.
forest either.
Would be better.
Managed might be better. That seems just like a strong word, that's all.
Right.
Sounds like we need caps for that.
One I don't have.
Or at least everybody would have to have an office and a title.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thank you guys.
No, thank you. A little different.
Um,
Yeah.
So do you think you might be able to get something to Jennifer tomorrow?
I'll give it, but, do that in the morning?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And I'll bring up this initial wording that we voted on tonight, and I'll tell her that if she hasn't received it, that it's in the mail. Okay. Appreciate your good help on that. Do you want a copy of this paperwork for Hannah?
Might as well give it to her.
Okay, sure. You got one?
You want my copy? Yeah.
No, that's okay. You can just give her, you know, you hold on to your copy. Well, you're the only one with working files practically. So.
I'll,
He's doing well. Who owns the mouse and Lake? I walked that this weekend, I've never done that, down in the park.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure whether Leslie had stuff he wanted to talk
Oh,
about it
that's a lovely
before, or
piece.
whether, otherwise, or, I mean,
I'd like to bring up something before they leave.
Yes, sir.
oh, by all means.
Johnson, the Mossam Way Land Trust.
That's a lovely piece down through there.
This is by Deering Pond?
No, right behind Holsworth. Right behind the park, right behind the wreck. That lanes down through there. You walk that?
I've been on part of it.
Yeah.
Does it go all the way through to the cemetery now?
Yes. Well, you can, pretty much. It goes to the power station and back. I don't think it goes beyond that. It just goes to where the power station is off on that side
Yeah,
road there.
yeah.
Wil-
Over by Carlam,
Wilson Road. Yeah, so Wilson Road.
over by Carlam School, you mean?
No.
No.
Towards the back road.
Oh, that
Yeah, that-
substation thing.
Yeah, that small substation right by the, right where the
Yeah, yeah.
stream comes on. Yeah. But that's just a lovely stream laying right on top of the bedrock. Really is.
What do you got, Richard?
Yeah, I think most people are familiar with the Youngs Ridge School.
Yeah.
With it for the past over
Yeah.
a year. And I just got this email. Matter of fact, I was down in Savannah, Georgia when I received it. It says, "Hi Dick, the schoolhouse repair is in full swing. The building has had all the debris removed on the inside and is back on the foundation. It's all leveled up. Floor joists have been replaced. The back wall no longer has a large bow or bulge in it. The front wall is in process. A new floor is put down, and exterior corner boards either replaced or repaired, and I'm staining the exterior clapboards in my cellar. I'm very happy with the progress so far. As I mentioned, the front wall is still in process, and we're looking for wide boards for the interior. Ideally, 16-inch wide boards at a total of 80 board feet would be great. And of course, I'm open to whatever I can obtain. So as I say, I thought that was one of my main intentions, to pass on the Young Bridge Schoolhouses
Is that
in process.
Pat Stevens that's helping you with that?
This is from Neil Barrows.
Is that Pat Stevens that's helping her with that project?
I don't know who did it. I say, I just got back from Savannah, Georgia this afternoon, so I'll probably give her a call tomorrow and get more details and everything. But as seeing that Mark was here, I didn't know whether, might have any 16-inch wide pine boards.
Well, I don't know if there'd be I've got some that are wide, but I don't know if they're, there'd be various widths.
What I say, apparently she only need
Yeah.
probably have it done 6 or 8
Yeah.
boards.
How's that, for a floor, a wall, or what is it?
I'm not sure, I've got to find more detail on it. 1-inch pine, 16 inches wide.
I'll be around Thursday at the mill.
Thursday? Yeah. So I say, trying to help her out wherever we can, know that it's back on its foundation.
Right.
It's a milestone in itself.
Got hit by a car a year or so ago?
Yeah. Ran right into it and pushed it right off the foundation.
If it's only a 1-inch thick board, it can't be for a floor then, right? I wouldn't expect.
That?
Only 1-inch thick is all you're looking for?
Yeah.
Can't imagine that's for a floor then, right?
Sounded like it's an interior
That
wall.
sounds like an
Yeah,
interior wall to
you
me.
have to see what she's trying to match.
Sounds like,
I'll probably take a ride up, take a look, see what, so I can know firsthand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, so one of the things I thought of was, down
So that lot number was 22002?
they just
What's that?
have
That lot
everything
number
down
was
there,
22002?
tucked away somewhere.
Yeah, we don't have what we
It
need.
is like you need, 1,000 board feet or something like that.
That's lot
Turn
one.
and said something,
So there's a, is this broken out already?
3,
So it's
3 or 4
it's lot
12
one.
footers, and 4 footers and whatnot.
So that's lot two, thank you.
it's part of this. part.
Gotcha,
That's-
gotcha. Okay. Lot 220.
Not
And it's-
around,
No, it's the dump.
you might know some other guys got their own portable sawmills, maybe they
Probably want it
get the
dry,
log, they
too.
can saw it off.
Awful nice. That's a nice parcel. Yeah.
Is your mill still for sale?
I'll buy it.
The sign is down though, isn't it?
Yeah, changing realtors.
Or changed?
For this lady over here now?
You all done?
I better stop the broadcast.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can call the meeting to an end. Thank you.